Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Modern Mystic radio show on A1R Psychic Radio, the world's #1 psychic radio station. Now, before I start, it's been a while since I've done one of these and I'm back. I'm really excited. So I can't wait to start doing your readings and listening to the callers, etc. But before I do that, I'm just going to reintroduce myself, what I do, give you a really good idea of my background, etc. So I am a UK celebrity psychic medium. I work on Sky TV over in the UK, also on ITV, and of course internationally on A1R as well. So I've been working as a professional psychic for just under 30 years, and I do work in a variety of different ways, and I'll go over those in a few short moments. But I want to tell you a little bit about my psychic journey. So this started when I was around 7 years old, and I didn't get any voices, I didn't get any communication, but what I used to see night after night were these faces drifting towards me. Some of them were nice, some of them were not so nice, but I used to see on average probably about 100 different one of these faces every single night. And of course, it was a little bit alarming for me. And this lasted for what felt like ages as a child, but probably was around 6 months to a year. And it became such a problem, such an issue for me that I tried everything. I tried leaving the hall light on. I tried leaving a side light on. Nothing worked. So what happened was I was introduced to my spirit guides, and it was a man and it was a woman. And I remember the conversation really, really well. And they were having a conversation about me, so not to me, but about me. And they said that clearly I needed a little bit of help, and they were going to take these images, these faces away. Now, let me just describe these faces to you. They were like the outlines of somebody's face, like somebody's drawn them, rather than floating heads traveling towards me, which would have been a little bit more alarming. So that was my first introduction into the psychic world, and also to my spiritual guides. And growing up, I would say I've always had a really, really, really deep fascination with anything to do with the spiritual world. And I remember when I was around 13, I used to read the playing cards. I found a book on how to read the playing cards, and I used to do readings for friends and family. And when I was about 17, I had my first ever proper psychic reading at a psychic fair. And I was absolutely hooked. And I asked the woman whether she would actually teach me how to read, because I was desperate to learn. And she came over to my house, and all she did was shuffle her cards. And she said, "You can already do this. Just do me a reading." And I thought, "No, I can't. That's why I've invited you here." But she insisted. So I did my first very rusty reading, I have to say. And it was using these very cards here. So this was the first ever deck that I started to use. And these are called the Psy cards. They're similar to the tarot, but they're not actually the tarot. And I still use them to this day. This is the very first pack that was given to me, the very same pack that was given to me by my teacher all those years ago. And since then, I've accumulated many, many decks of cards. So I have with me my other tarot here. I also use the crystal ball, the pendulum, the scrying mirror, absolutely everything. So, yeah, I love my tools. And I also work with geomancy, which is a very ancient form of divination using 16 symbols. And, you know, I have done previous workshops on this where I explain what all the symbols mean and how to actually get the meanings and the representations from them. So that's another thing that I do. Now, over in the UK, I am known as the soulmate psychic. So what does that mean? So I love to work with soulmates and twin flames. So if you've ever had that kind of connection with somebody that you feel like you've had perhaps a previous life with them, you've got this unbelievable connection, you're experiencing synchronicities, maybe seeing the same number, 1111, or hearing the same song over and over again. Normally, this indicates a soulmate or twin flame relationship. Now, throughout our lives, we will have various soulmates come into our lives. And what I find is that generally there is some sort of karma to be worked out here. So the soulmate isn't necessarily the person that you are destined to spend the rest of your life with. That, in fact, is more like a twin flame relationship. Now, I said right at the beginning of this year that I felt that it was a huge year for soulmates and twin flames. And what I've seen from my clients is twin flame relationships falling apart and then getting back together again. And of course, new ones coming in. So maybe this is something perhaps you're feeling this is going to be the year for you. Well, we've still got a month and a half left, so it could very well still be the year. But if you're experiencing difficulties with twin flame relationships and soulmate relationships, this is very common because there's normally quite a lot of transformation that needs to take place on a soul level before you can really make the relationship work. And this is where we get all the complications, the difficult dynamics, what have you. So they're far from easy relationships, but they are the most intense and most powerful. Now, I'm also, excuse me, an Akashic record reader. So what I can do is tune into your Akashic records. Now, briefly, the Akashic records are a library, if you can imagine it as a library of information, past, present, and future. And this holds all information about our lives, so our life purpose, our past lives, and, you know, the future destined events that we are bound to be in. So there's a lot that you can gain from the Akashic records. So yes, you can have a look at past lives, and you can have a look at perhaps there's an interesting or difficult relationship dynamic in your life. Perhaps your partner acts a little bit more like your father. And quite often what I find is that these dynamics actually automatically filter through into this life. And that might give you a really good indication of what your past life may have been with somebody that you're having a challenging relationship dynamic with. And also, if you've got an unexplained fear, this can relate to past lives. And when you go back into that past life and you gain the awareness, you can release that fear and no longer have it running your life. And also on the opposite note, perhaps you're talented and you wonder where this natural talent has come from. Again, quite often, it's a past life incarnation where you've developed those skills, you've developed those abilities. Okay, right, so that's briefly me. Now, I'm really, really looking forward to doing my first reading. Now I'm back on the air, and this is with Debbie in Springville, Utah. Debbie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What would you like me to look out for you?
I'm just having a little bit of issues with my husband. I feel sometimes he needs his mother, who has passed away when he was young. And I have his kids, we're married, and I do everything. And there's just times where he's like, I'm quitting my job, you can go to work. But you chose me to stay home with the kids, homeschool them. I don't know how to go around, and I don't know how to help him go through whatever he's going through. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're going to even last.
Right, let's just have a look and see what I get for you, and in particular, him. Right, okay, because what I'm being shown here is like he's deliberately trying to create this clash between the two of you. Okay, I feel like he's quite a complicated person.
Yes,
I feel he doesn't, the problem with him is he doesn't know how to make himself happy again. Does that make sense? And I feel like he's, all of this kind of just spills out into the family, into the relationship, because fundamentally he's not dealing with the real core issues in his life. And I feel like he's struggling to find his own happiness. And I feel like sometimes he stabs in the dark and comes out with these statements, oh, I'm going to do this, and, you know, then it's all changed for you. But to be honest with you, I don't feel that he will ever follow through with those things. I feel in many respects this is him trying to get his emotion out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So, and I understand, right, this relationship is really, really hard work for you, because when we actually look at everything else and when we start to look at you, this doesn't feel like what you signed up for, you know? It feels like you're doing all the groundwork, all the hard effort, you know, all the slogging away, and you're not really getting the emotional reward from him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, to make it worthwhile. Now, let's have a look and see what we get with this, because it feels like I've just got you going around in this great big loop, in this great big pattern. I do feel that your relationship will survive. I do feel also that it needs quite a lot of transformation. It needs to change. Does that make sense? Because at the moment, I feel like this pattern that he's got himself into, and that you're living as well, your experience, because you're, you know, directly involved. This pattern just, it feels like it's old now. Does that make sense? It's just, you're tired. You know, I feel like I'm exhausted from this. Excuse me. And I do feel you're fed up of being strong. You're fed up of being the strong one as well. You need the support, but it's how to get it that I think is the problem, because I feel like if you approach him, forgive me if I'm wrong, because what I'm kind of getting here is when you previously tried to discuss this, I feel like he's taken it as a criticism and he's become defensive. And therefore, you've got nowhere with it. Does that make sense? It just ends up in an argument or just feeling very, you know, hostile towards each other. Does that make sense?
Very much so. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so what we need to look at then is a different way of you getting your feelings out without it seeming as though you're accusing him of something or putting him down, or do you know what I mean? I feel like this is the emotion that he's kind of coming away with. Right, okay, so let's have a look and see what we get with this, because I do feel that there is a different, more, I'm being shown here, a more balanced approach. And what I'm being shown here is I'm being told here to talk about how something makes, how this makes you feel, or what you would like to feel. I feel like you've got to be the one that suggests finding positivity. Does that make sense?
Yes, because he seems to always want to shut down when something doesn't go his way. And I'm the one that's there. Look, if it didn't happen, it's probably for a reason. There's something better out there. This is why, you know. So just relax. We're going to do it. We're going to make it through. Don't worry. Let's try it this way. And then he'll feel better. And he's like, okay, no problem. We'll start working it out again. And then if it doesn't go, he tries a different approach, and it's like doesn't go his way. It's like he just shuts down again. And it's like, okay, what do I do now?
Okay, so he seems to be going through this perpetual pattern of getting himself up on his feet and then all of a sudden something knocking him down. And I feel that he's got to look at his response to things. Does that make sense? Because there's always two ways of approaching something, okay? Like I said, I feel like it needs to shift from you doing all the carrying, whether it's the carrying of the responsibilities or the emotional carrying, because I feel like you're doing both at the moment. I feel that I feel that by phrasing it in a slightly different way, and it's like you've got to really think that it's not going to be taken as a criticism. I'm being shown here, it's like your relationship needs to connect back. Does that make sense? As a couple, as a young couple, because that's what's missing as well. And I feel that you've kind of become very like bogged down with day-to-day life. It's like Groundhog Day. Do you see what I mean? And I feel that it's like both of you need to see each other in a different way. And what I'm being shown with this is I feel like I've got you trying lots of different techniques and ways of putting things. And eventually I feel like I've got you cracking the code here, because what I'm being shown is that, it might very well reach, a climax point, but I do feel that I've got you changing direction within this relationship and linking back together again. What I will say here is just follow your intuition, but try and refrain from doing that carrying, almost like wean it off a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I do hope that helped.
It does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. And off she goes. Now I'm going to go on to my next caller, and we have Stella in Georgia. Hello, Stella. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
What would you like me to look at for you, Stella?
Yes, I can hear you.
What would you like me to look at for you, Stella?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to know about my love life and relationship. I just recently met a guy on the internet, and I just want to know how it's gonna be. I mean, he lives in England.
Oh, wow. Okay. Long distance relationship.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Let's have a look and see what we have. Wow. I'm just pulling out some cards for you. And let's just see what we have. So this relationship, this connection that you have, now, I mean, I feel like already it's quite strong in your life. I feel already he's created a very, very big impact for you. Now, as I'm kind of shooting towards the future here, see, I don't quite know what the deal is with his work, but I don't feel necessarily that, the geographical distance between the two of you is actually going to pose a massive problem for him, okay, or for both of you, because I am actually seeing I'm seeing you meet here, and I'm seeing you meet quite regularly. Now, I feel as though I've got the relationship building as it is over right up until the end of the year. And then I feel as we go into next year, I get plans coming in where you're able to meet up. Okay. This relationship, I feel, has a very unusual quality about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you're very intuitive and you can sense that already yourself. And I feel this. Yeah, and I feel that when I'm looking at the connection, it's definitely reciprocated. It's definitely both ways. I feel like he's very, very drawn towards you, despite the fact that there is this distance. I feel that he wants to actually see where this is going. I feel that between the two of you, there is a really strong soul connection around this. And what I am being shown is, I feel like within maybe 3 or 4 months, I feel like you will define yourselves as in a relationship properly. I feel that even though this is quite early days, I feel that already, you have been talking about future possibilities together. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And we also talk every day on the Skype. So,
But I mean, I think sometimes when we meet people like this, because of the distance, because of this, that, and the other, we can sometimes worry that it's not what it seems. But I do feel that really positive about this, and I'm getting a lot of passion around this as well. I feel that is there something unusual about the way in which you connected, or what you first started talking about?
Yes. We met on the music live stream, and we're like was attracted to each other right away. So,
oh wow! So it wasn't so much like online dating; it was something completely different.
Yes.
I mean, I feel as well that when we're looking at your previous relationships, I feel that you have been a little bit unlucky with some of the people that you've connected with. And I feel that because of that, you're very cautious, you're very mindful about, rushing into anything. But what I would say is that this person does seem to be different and does seem to feel different. You've got with you, I'm going to show you this. You've got the Ace of Cups.
Okay.
And that always, to me, talks about a big, big relationship coming into your life, new love. So I do feel that this relationship is not just going to be online. I feel like you will meet. I feel like you're already in love as well.
Do you think
so I want to say enjoy.
Me and Simon?
I feel that it will. I'm getting success around it. So I feel that despite the geographical distance, I just don't feel like it's going to be a problem. One of you is definitely moving to be with the other. I can say that for sure.
Oh, okay, because he was talking about moving to United States to be with me, to live here.
Mm-hmm. I would say that he will stick to that. I feel quite good about him. I feel like he will stick to his word, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
And can I ask another question too about my health situation and my money situation?
Well, we're almost running out of time. I'll pull out one card quickly. I mean, I'm not picking up anything negative around the health side of it. And when we're looking at the money, I have got things balancing out for you. So I feel that I don't feel like I've got you in a negative situation financially.
And my son, their dad was murdered last year. I was wondering, one more quick question, if I have any messages from the other side from him.
Well, my show is just about to close, unfortunately. So it's just one question. So, but thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. And off she goes. So that's my two callers for today. I will be back same time next week. But if you do want to book a private reading with me, you can go through on my website, which is www.modern-mystic.co.uk, or you can find me on Facebook under Mystic Saira and Modern Mystic. And there I do a free Facebook Live once a week, every Sunday. So please do get involved with that. So it's been an absolute delight being back on A1R Psychic Radio. Please stay tuned for some more fantastic shows, and goodbye for now.